Stick around for the weekend review for January 5th, 2010. I've got 25 comics that I'm going to take a look at that shipped this week. I've also got stories on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Vampirella, Wonder Woman TV show, which has been shelved, Elijah Wood in The Hobbit, and Taylor Wilde has got a big career change coming up in her life. All that in 60 seconds. It's the end of the Fantastic Four as we know them! Fantastic Four 583 is shipping this month, and supposedly it's going to be the death of one of the members of Fantastic Four. Because of that, Fantastic Four is our Hero of the Month here at Alternate Reality, which means all of my trade paperbacks and back issues are 25% off all month long. All my softcovers, all my hardcovers, all my essentials, all my masterworks, everything. 25% off all month long. So come on down to the store and celebrate the death of a member of the Fantastic Four by saving 25% off here at Alternate Reality.
Do you want to know what happened this week? Well, too bad, because here's Comic Book Man anyway.
That would be the bomb.
If there was a week, there must be a week in review. Here's Comic Book Man with the week that was January 5th, 2011.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Weekend Review, and this is the Weekend Review for January the 5th, 2011. This is your teachable moment for everything that's happened in the past week. As I've said many times before, if you take Shipshape for this week and Weekend Review for this week, put them together, you'll have a real good feel for what happened during the week of January the 5th, 2011, the first shipping week of the new year. And this week was the beginning, as I mentioned in the last Weekend Review that it was coming, this week was in fact the beginning of...
DC holding down prices.
DC's holding the line. Yes. Iconic cover, $2.99. Although one of these is not $2.99. Iconic. Well, I don't know. One of them's not though. DC's iconic cover. What's the word I'm looking for? Initiative. Where they are promoting the hell out of DC Comics. Most of these are new, are either regular issues or a couple of first issues or one shots are mixed in here. Like this is a brand new first issue of the ongoing series, but this is all to promote the fact that DC has these great books, and you can tell by the cover if you can, which ones are DC's. These, and they're only $2.99, so they're cheap. So they're holding the line at $2.99, which is the ad campaign. Anyway, this came in, and of course Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex came in, and Doom Patrol. This is Brightest Day. Brightest Day, the variant was the Aquaman cover, same thing as this. Superboy, number 3. JSA All-Stars. Legion of Superheroes. This is your $3.99 book, Weird Worlds. This is an anthology book, which features in this issue Lobo and Swamp Thing, and I forget who this is. But this is an anthology book that they just started up to keep the Weird Worlds copyright from the early 70s.
Scantily clad girl.
Scantily clad purple girl. Azrael. Freedom Fighters.
And
And this one shot, Congarilla Starman, which ties into the current Justice League storyline that Jim Robb is doing over in JLA. And the one I do want to mention, though, specifically, is this one, Steel. This is not just a throwaway book, and this is a spoiler warning for all of you out there who haven't read this book. 1, 2, 3, Steel dies. That's the point behind this book. They kill John Henry in this thing, and Darkseid kills him and takes his body back to Apokolips. We assume back to Apokolips. There's a big storyline coming up this spring for DC is Return of Doomsday, and which ties in with Darkseid, and Darkseid's going to do something with him. If you remember back to the big war storyline they had just after 9/11, which wasn't tied into 9/11, it was just a coincidence, but the big war story they had back after 9/11, Our World's at War, I think it was, John Henry wound up with armor that was apocalyptian in nature, and so he does have a connection back with Darkseid. And like I said, the Doomsday thing is coming up, and of course John Henry has a connection with Doomsday, so this isn't just a throwaway one-shot. This is actually a fairly important book in John Henry's storyline, because he's dead. But anyway, this also came out this week. And so, you know, if you haven't picked up any DCs lately, they're only $2.99, and you may want to think about it.
Less if you buy them here.
On a personal note, I want to talk a little bit about this. This shipped to the store this week, and if you go to other comic book stores, you're going to say, that's late, and I'm going to say, yeah. And here's what happened with this. This originally was supposed to ship 3 weeks ago. Diamond sent me this. They sent me, instead of my order for Green Lantern Corps number 55, they sent me the same number of this, which obviously is not right. So I called into Diamond, and they said, oh, we're so sorry. We'll send you replacement copies right away, which they did. And I opened up the replacement copies a week later, and guess what was in there? Issue number 52 was in there, not issue number 55. And I didn't take a real close look at it first, and a lot of subscribers wound up with these. I cleared most of them out of people's subscriptions, and I caught them at the cash register before they went out the door, but a couple did. If you wound up with an extra copy of this, please bring it back to the store, and I'll let you swap it out for whatever other $2.99 book you want, new or old. Okay, and this is what finally I got this week, 3 weeks late. So the only reason I'm showing you this, because this is Week in Review. This was part of my week here at the store. It might not be part of yours, but it's part of my week here at the store. And this is an idea of what I have to deal with on a weekly basis with Diamond Comics. It's so much fun. They always keep me on my toes.
It's like being a real superhero.
Yeah, it's like being a real something or other, that's for sure. Over in the Marvel Universe, Marvel did ship books this week. Oh, there's a Captain America movie coming out.
There is.
Oh, we just
never know it.
So much Captain America fun. The Ultimate Captain America gets a 4-issue miniseries. This is the first issue. It shipped this week, as well as this, Captain America Hail Hydra, which is Steve Rogers 616 Captain America. This one here, Steve Rogers Hail Hydra, was the book of the week here. It's been 40% off all week here at the store, which means if you came down to the store this week, you could have bought this one for $1.79 on any day you wanted all week long.
Shot of his crotch.
Okay. Yeah, great shot of Cap's crotch. This, of course, tells the new story of Cap's long and tortured history with Hydra, which goes all the way back to World War II, because as we all know, Nazis are icky, but Hydra isn't. So we have Cap fighting more Hydra than Nazis during World War II, even though they were there. And not like you can get away from them. But if you mix Hydra in there, then it makes more sense for Cap to be fighting, at least politically speaking, makes more sense to him to be fighting Hydra in the 21st century than Nazis in the 21st century. And who'd want to fight Nazis? I mean, really, they're just misunderstood. Anyway,
I fight them where I find them, comic book man.
Moving on, Marvel also shipped out Thanos Imperative. This is a one-shot that came out. This wraps up the Thanos miniseries storyline that they just did. And it also leads you into the next miniseries, The Annihilators, which is coming from Marvel very shortly. So this is sort of an important book between the two storylines that you may want to pick up. And, of course, also this week we had yet another Anita Blake story that started up, another Anita Blake miniseries. Anita Blake was very, very popular once upon a time. It still has a loyal following, but it's a shrunken, smaller following. Not many people buying it as it were.
Once in 6 months.
But Anita Blake started a new storyline this week. So all you Anita Blake fans, get your gun and do up your hair and come on down to the store and pick it up. If you're women. In the indie side of things,
don't be sexist, comic book.
Image. I don't want to see a guy do his hair up and bring a gun to the store. Jesus Christ, get real.
Live and let live, comic book man.
Image shipped this, Walking Dead Weekly. What is this? Image is going to reprint Walking Dead every week, issue a week, starting with number 1 this week, for at least the next year. Now, the regular series is on issue, I think, 80, so even if they do a whole year's worth, that's only the first 52 issues.
Wasn't that issue free comic book day, the issue?
This was $1.
Okay.
This was part of
Okay.
Image did a bunch of dollar books recently, just as Marvel and DC and Dark Horse have done. And Image and IDW is doing starting this coming week, not this week, but this coming week. This was a $1 book once upon a time, which of course sold through. So you could have picked it up for $1. If you didn't, you should have. But you can pick it up for $2.99. 2 will be out this coming week. 3 will be out the following week, and so on and so on and so on. How long will they do this? Well, as long as sales hold up, and I think sales will probably hold up for this because everybody wants these books. This is a smart marketing move from Image and from Mr. Kirkman, and kudos to Image for thinking of doing this. This is not a bad idea. It really isn't. Who is Jake Ellis also shipped this week. It was a 40% off book this past Wednesday here at the store. It was a first day sale book, and it sold moderately well. Lady Death, number 1, finally shipped this week. Her and all of her gorgeous ivory boobage came out this week in her brand new storyline. I've talked before about Lady Death. If you like her, you like her. If you don't, you don't. Of course, everybody likes her boobs, but what else is there?
I like to see her get a little sun.
From Radical, we had Earp, Saints, and Sinners. This is an update of Wyatt Earp. This is also a proposed movie script of some sort, as with everything Radical does. And the last thing I want to cover is this. Vampirella number 2 shipped this week. Why am I talking about a second issue of a book? Because that's going to lead us into our first news story of what happened this week in comics. This week, one of the big stories that was announced was about this book, Vampy #1, top 32,000 copies sold. Now, that really, in the comic book parlance, that once upon a time that was cancellation numbers, but that's huge for today. 3,200 copies of Vampirella #1, 32,000. I'm sorry, 32,000 copies of Vampirella #1 went out the door from Dynamite. That's a huge increase over Harris's last run of the book, which sold about 5,000 copies per issue. The first issue is sold out. Sales of the second issue dipped because, of course, we retailers, we order #1, which is 2 months ahead. We order #2 when #1 still hasn't shipped yet, and second issues always dip in sales. If you sell 100 of the first issue, you're not going to sell 100 of the second issue. So we always under order on #2s. Then by the time 3 comes out, we've got our numbers back on #1, and if it's a big sellout, numbers go up. And that's what happened here. Numbers have gone up on #3 and #4. So #2, this one will probably be a little bit harder to find than 1, 3, and 4, as is with a lot of second issues. So look out for Vampirella, especially if you're a Vampirella fan. Now's the time to get on this bus. It's selling. Also this week, it was announced that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Volume 3 is coming out. That's right, and this one is going to take place in 1969. It's going to ship in July from Top Shelf. It's going to be another 80-page full-color. This will be a full-color soft cover. It'll be a $9.95 cover price. It's set in swinging London in 1969. Mina Murray, that's right, Mina's still alive. Well, she's a vampire. And her shrinking group, because the old ones died off, are fighting to prevent the birth of the Moonchild, who may be an Antichrist. I hate it when Antichrists show up. I really do. The creators, of course, will be Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill, as have been with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from the beginning. I'm not sure what characters are going to use. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen originally was a great idea because it used a bunch of public domain characters that nobody was using. By the time you get to 1969, you don't have nearly as many public domain characters that are left to pull from because you're well within the realm of copyright law. Just ask the Siegels or the Kirby family or anyone else that have taken Marvel or DC or any other big companies to court. Bless you, and bless you. So I'm not sure who else is going to be in the team, but check it out this coming July and you'll find out. Yeah. Media news. We've got 2 stories. Wonder Woman, the TV show we've talked about here many times in the past by David E. Kelley, has been shelved. Why was it shelved? Because they shopped it around the networks and nobody wanted it. If you can't do a TV series if nobody's going to run the damn thing. ABC had the best chance of taking it, but they turned it down, and everybody thinks that the reason for that is probably because of the Disney, ABC, Marvel connection, since they're all owned by Disney. That's probably why it got turned down, but maybe not. That might just be fans, being conspiracy theorists. I mean, outside in the real world, away from comic book stores, they work on a much higher level than, well, Marvel is owned by Disney. They'd never take a DC product. No, they take what's sold. But still, that might have something to do with it. Disney now does own a whole stable of characters. They don't really need to import any from anywhere else.
Or make something else popular that they're not really involved.
Yeah, right.
To that extent.
Exactly. Or make someone else's character popular that they're not going to make any money off of except off the TV show. Yeah. But anyway, so this thing was shelved. Also, the costs were a contributing factor too, because other stations, networks that could have taken it, weren't crazy about the cost. It is Wonder Woman after all. You are going to have special effects. She's going to have to lift heavy stuff and jump high, even in the TV series.
An invisible plane.
Well, even if you box the invisible plane, she's still got to do stuff. She's got to have her magic lasso, and she's got to spin around and turn her. Whatever they were planning on doing, you've got to have some special effects.
Can't look like H.R. Puff and stuff.
And so that was also a contributing factor. This is not a dead issue, though. Everybody who saw Kelley's treatment, everybody who saw it was happy with it. So this will probably be back someplace at some point in the near future, but for right now it's been shelved. Also, Elijah Wood is going to appear in The Hobbit. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Tolkien trilogy of Lord of the Rings and the adjacent Hobbit, you may know that his character, Frodo, doesn't appear in The Hobbit. Well, he's going to be in it anyway. And everybody assumes it's going to be a framing sequence or something or another. They're not going to play it fast and loose with the canon on the book, but they can do a framing sequence where they go, remember when or what would happen in the future or something, and they have Frodo in there. But anyway, look for Elijah Wood to be in The Hobbit. It's scheduled for release in December 2012. And then the second one in December 2013. And our last story is wrestling news. Taylor Wilde is leaving wrestling. Taylor Wilde is retiring from wrestling to go back to school. She had nothing good things to say about TNA and her time in TNA. She really loved being there. She loved professional wrestling. But, and these are her words, she couldn't see yelling at a camera, wearing really tiny wrestling gear, and punching other people in the face as a viable career option once she got into her 40s. So she's leaving wrestling to go back to school. Makes all the sense in the world because women do have a limited shelf life in wrestling. Once you start to lose your looks, bye. So, good luck to her and her future endeavors. And that's it for the Weekend Review. That's all we got time for. Be sure to stop by at the store's website to see more weekend reviews and news and reviews and everything else, all the other wonderful things we do. And until next time, this is Comic Book Man saying bye.